My name is Polly Higgins. I am an earth lawyer. And what I do is I advance an international crime of ecocide as an international law to protect the earth. Earth lawyers are those who are engaging in new laws to protect the earth and all who live here. You could call it the progressive end of where law is moving towards, and the collective term that's now used is earth law. At different levels, you have soft law, international agreements that can be used for this purpose. Problem is that when you have a country pull out, it protects no one. You can have civil litigation, you can have enforcement mechanisms that allow for suing through civil courts. Problem is that there's no state responsibility, and for individuals and communities that are at the front line of being seriously harmed, that can be a very expensive and lengthy and unjust way of seeking resolution. What is it that is required here to put in new laws to protect the earth? And ecocide crime is my proposal into the United Nations to extend its remit under the International Criminal Court, to bring prosecutions against not just state entities, state individuals, but also corporate individuals for their failure to protect the earth, for causing serious harm, extensive damage, destruction to a loss of ecosystems. 20th century law is very situational, explicit when it comes to atrocity crimes, genocide being a very good example. So with genocide, for instance, you can look at a given territory and say, sometimes you can give very precise numbers as to how many have been killed for want of their beliefs or their ethnicity, and it's happened in a given territory at a given time. However, if we're looking at something like climate crime, we have different parameters to examine here. We have known scientific knowledge now about what will occur if certain dangerous industrial activity is not prohibited. And on the basis of that, we're dealing with possibly future crimes. We can actually ascertain how many lives will be lost as a result of, in essence, climate crime. At the end of the day, we have a unique 21st century challenge here. The size, the duration, the impact doesn't fit the normal parameters you would apply to genocide. And indeed, something can happen on one continent that has significant adverse impacts, cumulative impacts, and long-term into the future impacts for those who it's very much felt as an existential humanitarian crisis on a completely different continent, for instance in the Pacific. So the parameters that have to be applied for this unique set of circumstances that we're now facing have to differ in some way, we think, than what has been normally applied through traditional atrocity crime routes. Ecocide crime was going to be an atrocity crime. And indeed, with the drafting of the Rome Statute for the International Criminal Court, it was included over a period of 11 years of the drafting until 1996, when it was removed. At that time, there were 54 countries involved in that drafting process. Only 4 wanted it removed, and as a result, it was removed. Now, those 4 countries, we know now from records from the United Nations, were my country, the UK, the Netherlands, France, and the US. And we have a situation where we know from the records it was corporate lobbying behind the scenes. So I think our biggest challenge is not so much actually having this added as an additional crime within the statute of the International Criminal Court, but ensuring that behind closed doors it doesn't become either watered down or completely shelved all over again. We already have a political framework called the Responsibility to Protect. However, that's all it is. It's a soft law document, and that was signed by all governments in 2005. That was the watered down version of state crimes and state crimes of responsibility. And ecocide was originally included in that as well. So just as it was removed from the Rome Statute for the International Criminal Court, it was removed as a state crime of responsibility. Now, we have that governance of state crime, of the responsibility to protect against genocide, war crimes, crimes against humanity. We can put enforcement in there for responsibility to protect all life. And that is ecocide.